Hey guys, it's time for another Patreon poll chat. So the poll this past week was, we are 66 days away from the rise of Skywalker. In honor of that number, let's talk Palpatine. I wonder who wrote this question. There have been
Justin
talks about
Bolger.
there have been talks about clones, dark side force spirits, flashbacks, visions, Matt Smith. But how about this? Will Palpatine be back alive and in the flesh in the rise of Skywalker? So there were two options. Yes, Sheevy Babe lives. Babes. And no, he physically died and will return in other ways.
Hmm.
James, I'm going to start with you.
Wait,
Yes, he lives.
what were the two?
Yes, he lives, or no, he died and he will return in other ways.
Oh,
So I guess like it's mostly, did he survive the fall or is he returning in some way?
well, that's weird because what I think is not one of those options. But given between those two options, I guess he died and will come back in another way. But yes, I do think he will be back in the flesh.
All right. John?
What were the answers as they were written? Just so I'm understanding.
Yes, Sheevy Babes lives.
Mm-hmm.
No, comma, he physically died and will return in other ways.
Yes.
Everyone keeps thinking all this other stuff, like the Matt Smith thing, which is the clone stuff, and I'm cloned out and all that. So I'm just gonna say he, like Luke, when Luke cut his hand off, he found some way to get out of there. He hopped on a little Sheevy Babe ship and scooted out of there, and he's like, I'm gonna come back when the time's right. So I'm gonna say maybe he survived. Why not?
I'm going to say he died, but I'm going to go with John's theory that he somehow became part of the helmet and his spirit was there.
He's living in the helmet.
The essence. It just seems to connect everything together if that's the case, because that's still around.
So he's right there?
I agree with that. I just think there's something like I think he will have been dead, died, and will be back to life.
Yeah.
Oh, come back in the flesh.
Resurrected.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see him.
So the question is, will he be in the flesh? And I was like, yes. And then it's like, did he die or is he coming back in a different way? I'm like, so it's not quite there, but I think
it means
did die and will be 100% resurrected.
Right. So I think the options are he survived the fall and he's fine and he's still alive, or no, he died, but he's returning either resurrection, possession, whatever.
Yes. So in both senses, in my situation, he ends up, well, never mind. It doesn't matter.
So now to hear from you guys. The winner, 56%, is no, he physically died and will return in other ways. 44% said yes, Sheevy Babes lives.
That's surprising that it was that high for that he lives.
Are you guys ready for the comments?
Yeah.
First up is Mello. He said, I participated in poll 66. Next is Adam Odell. And he said, he lives. You are going to get through the anticipation and excitement, bringing Ian McDiarmid back, all just to have his ghost or presence try to come back. Nah, he's coming back.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Like,
Next is Darth Hurricane. He said, I want him alive, but physically weak, but mentally just as strong. It's very specific.
Yes.
Next is Tampa movie guy who said, Force Ghost Palpatine. Is that possible, Force Ghost? Because he's a bad guy.
Not yet, right?
I
don't think it's happened yet.
Next is Sooner Thrawn, who said he is alive.
He is alive.
Next is John Reese, who said, I had to vote for what I think is most likely. Not alive, but back in some other way. However, and he wrote that in caps, I am not happy that there was no hashtag Sheevy Babes part in the other option.
Yeah, he called me out on that. He was upset that we didn't use the hashtag. But I wore the shirt for you, buddy. There you go.
Did. Next is Maerk at the Kind of Akins, and he said he will be alive. How? That's a story for another day.
Oh.
J.J. Abrams.
Jeez, the Maz Kanata story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Next is Mark Magaha, who said, I voted that he is alive. I hope he is that. I hope he is that. Wait, what? I hope he is that they explain it in the film how he is alive instead of just saying that it is a story for another day.
Well, yeah.
And last but not least is one of our newest patrons, Micah. Hi, Micah. Harrison. He said, I really want him to be alive, but ever since Ian walked out on that stage, I have felt like it's not what they're hyping it up to be. I know JJ wouldn't just completely troll us, but I really think his part is going to be surprisingly minimal. I really, really hope I am wrong, though. But yeah, he did.
I get this feeling that we're not going to see him till the end of the movie, but we'll hear him and there'll be like flashes of force lightning and stuff. And people will be like, well, what is the deal? And then at the end, he'll be there in the flesh. And people will be like, oh my God, he was there,
I think we're definitely seeing him in the flesh. And I think it's going to be Ian McDermott. I think that's happening.
You know that thing that I always say, like what's the thing that's going to please the most amount of people, right?
Right.
Is it that, like, are people going to walk out of the theater and say like, oh, I'm glad that he was like a ghost or something, you know what I mean? And then they didn't actually bring him back to life. Or are they going to be more happy that they're like, oh, he was like resurrected and he was like there in person. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
That seems like it's going to be a more satisfying result as like, oh, we got to see him back in the flesh. There he was. It wasn't some sort of like spirit emperor, or something. I just don't think people are going to like that.
Or an old message. Like, here's this old message he recorded and that's how he's back.
It could be cool, but I think they're trying to land the ship. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hate to do this, but I always do it. Comparing it to Harry Potter, like Voldemort didn't matter until he was back in the flesh. So it's like, yeah, he was creepy before that, but once he got resurrected again, everyone was like, oh no, Voldemort's back.
Yeah, and the Kylo thing too, like if he is gonna like potentially go through this redemption thing, it won't work if it's just this was a message from Emperor Palpatine, or
he has to fight someone. Yeah,
he needs to have a very heavy presence, I think, for it to work. So
you know what else too is like you don't want to have to like have the Ghostbuster trap. Like we have to go get the trap so that we can throw it out to capture him.
I always wanted to do that.
It's like the more satisfying thing is you want him to come back to life and Kylo Ren like stab his lightsaber through him,
Yeah.
Or cut his head off or something, you want it to be like done.
Palpatine respawns like in a video game. He's like, all right, I'm back. And Kylo knows the respawn spot. He's like, gotcha. End of movie.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your support. Stay tuned for the next poll.
Bye.